Hello, everybody.
I'm still counting down. Sorry.
How you? Wait, what? But whoa! What are these numbers? Isn't that like number like 19 or something,
I don't know.
or 17 or something like
Maybe I'm just
that?
doing sign language now at this point.
30,
Whatever.
36.
How's it going?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? It's nice to see you all. Haley is here with us. That's Yanglios and August also. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Nyansai.
Hello.
How are you guys? Are you having a good day? Are you enjoying your weather? What's the weather like over there? What's the weather like for you, Joe?
What's the weather like for me? It's actually kind of warm. It's
Is
in the
it?
50s
Hey,
Fahrenheit,
that's considerably warmer
not in the
than.
50s Celsius.
Oh, if it was, that would be kind of warm. Yeah, that'd be kind of warm. If it was 50 Celsius, could you imagine that? Oh my.
Yeah,
So
that'd be hot.
my best guesstimate is that would be at least 100, maybe 30, 120.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Oh, gross.
I kind of wonder.
Gross. So hot. No. It's very comfortable.
No,
I
it's
like I
probably
like
130.
weather in the 50s.
Um, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm a bigger fan of that than anything colder. 50s isn't too bad, actually. Um,
Well,
put
it
on a
feels really warm
when you get.
because we went through this whole time of it being like in the single digits and below zero and
Oh yeah,
everything.
that's
And so
true. Yeah,
now it's in the 50s and it's like, "Oh my gosh, like it's really warm."
yeah, that's true. When it's been freezing outside every day, and finally 50s feels like, wow, I could take off my snow pants, get sweaty in here, you know? Yeah.
Hmm. August survived the rain torrents. Good job, August.
50
Haley, are you
Celsius is
still here?
120.
Did you leave?
The rain torrents? I don't know what rain torrent.
Yes, the rain torrents.
It's like a tornado, a
Oh,
rain
Haley, you are
tornado?
still here.
I mean, I've heard of torrent. Torrents are like
No,
a wind
torrent, like
gusts.
lots and lots of rain, like heavy rain.
Oh, okay.
The other day, it felt like 37, and you were questioning if you needed your jacket. Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, because you're just like, "I- it's so warm out.
Yeah, it's so warm compared to negative like 30.
Yeah, I took a
Yeah.
picture during that time. I was just getting back from the trampoline park with my kid, and like my car has the temperature outside on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was minus 16 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And I
That's
was
cold.
like, that's bitter, bitter cold, man.
Yeah.
And it was windy too. And
Things.
oh,
Oh, and the wind. Oh,
yes.
yeah, you don't want
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep. So
Yeah,
now it's in the
floods.
50s.
So
It's great.
sorry to hear that, August. Scary.
I had massive wind, rain, floods, and lightning.
But bright
But
and
bright
sunny
and sunny
days.
days. It's all at nights. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I've got this weird sun thing going on, and I've got these like it looks like I got this extended eyebrow. It's giving heck with that.
Yeah, you look so mad today, Ryan.
Yeah,
Like, what's up with you?
it's the
Like,
sun. The sun makes me angry.
you, dude, I'm the angry one here. Like,
Yeah,
what's up with that? Like,
yeah. There we go. So there's too much sun. I don't
it's
even.
still there.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Did you? Oh, there.
Oh, beautiful. We've solved it with a cooking mitten.
You solved perfect. Good job.
What do you call it? A hot mitten? Whatever this is. One of these.
Yeah,
All these?
yeah. It's
Oven
a,
mitt. Oven
I
mitt.
don't know,
Oven mitt.
oven mitt. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. I was gonna say cooking mitten sounds about right to
Yeah.
me. Like,
We have resolved the issue of the sun with an oven mitt. That's a new I don't know, a new use of technology there.
That's right. Perfect.
Mhm.
Good job.
Thank you.
I'm so
Yeah.
proud.
Oh, shouldn't be. It's just just block the sun. It's okay.
I am.
Okay, well, thank you. It was my wife's idea, so
Oh, good
yeah.
job.
Hmm.
Good job, wife. I told her.
You did.
Good job, Ryan's wife.
So it looks like we do have one topic you said, right? I
We
haven't.
do. It's from Sparrow.
Sparrow
I
and
don't know
Sparrow.
if Sparrow wants to be here when we do this topic.
Sparrow
So
is here, is not here. Yeah, that's right. The sun was bouncing off a light surface below my causing artifacts with the shadow of my glasses.
can anybody in the chat shoot Sparrow a message and see if he wants to come?
That's a good idea.
Um
We would love
I'm
a topic.
scrolling through my Discords. It's been so long that since I've messaged Sparrow that I'm like going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I haven't Discord messaged this guy in so long. And I
Mm-hmm.
have all these group chats. Oh my goodness. And now I'm seeing people I don't remember.
I'm seeing people don't even remember. Oof.
I'm like,
Oof, oof. Hey, it happens. You know, sometimes like somebody starts a chat with you from a different friend group or whatever, and then talk to him one time.
mm-hmm.
Um
Hey, found him.
oh, you found?
I'm gonna message him. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
like,
please do.
yo.
Meowglios, yes, we would love a topic. We are low on topics. We only have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so give us something or else we're just gonna talk about whatever we want.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that will be less fruitful. Whatever you want. So okay, you'll submit one on those. Awesome. Thank you. We'll be looking for. Take your time. Rush though. If it takes you an hour to submit it, hey. All right. Let me know if Sparrow starts responding. If not, that's okay.
All right. Message sent. Yay.
Thank
Win.
you, Joe.
I win. So
You
yeah.
win.
I don't know. Go through the legal stuff or something.
Yeah, okay. Well, Haley says, today I was good and actually made dinner. Now I won't subsist on major goldfish. Oh, I get it.
Majority
Majorities. Yeah, sorry, I have dyslexia.
Wait.
Majority.
So you go to the pet store and buy goldfish and that's what you eat?
Yeah. That's the college diet. The pet store.
Wow.
Yeah, $40 for
Haley.
goldfish, but high nutritious value. And I mean, gold is worth a lot these days. Goldfish, however, not so much.
There was a time my brother, when we were in high
Oh.
school, he on a dare swallowed a goldfish, a live goldfish whole.
No. That's so brutal.
That's what he did.
That's
Fish don't have feelings.
I know, but I mean, literally, the fish had to swim in acid until it died. Like, it wasn't exactly acid.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
it didn't
being
feel
pushed
anything.
against
Fish
stuff
don't
and
feel
like,
anything.
and then like being man.
You're just
waiting
swimming
to die
around
in
and all
the
of a sudden you
acid.
just start falling apart and you're just like, whatever.
Yeah. How long did that take though? Like,
I don't know.
Hours.
It took
Maybe
him
days.
a second and a half to swallow it.
Yeah. Probably multiple days for the fish to actually die and digest. Goodness.
Yes,
So
totally, Haley.
irresponsible.
Totally not the crackers. See, I know you.
Mm-hmm. Well, Haley's a doctor. Doctors know they need their nutrition. And they know that there's no nutrition in crackers.
And there's no nutrition without goldfish, the actual fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Haley and I could have some arguments about like the stuff
Nutrition.
I drink every morning.
Yeah, I know you guys. You
We
guys have a debate about what fat is and all that.
we do.
Hmm.
I've you know what? I've got all kinds of arguments I need to have with people. I got that
Yeah.
argument to have with
Yeah,
Haley. I
I've got
got a
those too.
stoicism argument to have with your wife. I
Oh
got
yeah.
arguments to have. Man, it's like
Yeah.
my whole life is full of arguments.
Hey, I've got my fair share of those too. So, like,
Well, you're married. What do you expect, dude?
no, not with my wife. Just like whenever something comes up,
Oh,
I'm like, that's inconsistent. How can you not point? I think it is in everybody's human nature to point out inconsistency when they see them. I will say though, also our brains are not very good at finding them at times when we decide to jump on something full, like, the kind of feeling of like that person can do no wrong. It's like no matter what happens, oh no, those inconsistencies are not inconsistent. We'll argue for them. But
hmm.
I think a lot of times when we see an inconsistency, you're like, well, the data shows this, but like that's not right. That doesn't line up with the other data. We feel compelled to have to like talk about it. So I
Hmm.
have those. I have those about like lots of different.
Neonsai, you're absolutely right. Now, as I says, for me, I just completely
Hmm.
dismiss inconsistencies all the time because two opposing things are true so often. Yes,
Yeah.
it's true that two opposing things can be true at the same time. In my opinion, an inconsistency is when two things are so different they cannot coexist. One of them has to be wrong,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I guess it depends
Because
on
there's
the
all the
variance of
time,
inconsistency. Yeah.
right? Hmm.
Yeah.
In fact, that's eventually what led me into Catholicism. Actually, that was the first thing, the first experience that got me like started on my journey toward Catholicism was because I was learning they were teaching at the church I was going to at the time. It was an evangelical church. They were preaching about baptism and communion, right?
Hmm.
And I remember growing up, I grew up as a Methodist. And what I learned about baptism and communion in the Methodist church was so different from what they were teaching at this evangelical church that they could not both be true
Right. Sure.
because they were so vastly different. And they pointed to the same scripture to come to the same to those
Oh.
so vastly different
Sure.
conclusions. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wait a minute, some like that I cannot shake. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When you come across something like that where it's like, okay, like the way they're explaining this is so different from this other explanation using the same resource. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, they can't both be true. And so that's actually the event that started my journey into Catholicism, which is crazy.
I believe
And
that.
you're right, Neonside. People are especially inconsistent with stories and beliefs. You're
Oh
absolutely right.
yeah, of course. Stories especially. Brains are not very.
Haley, when you talk about reading scientific literature and finding inconsistencies, what do you like?
Mhm.
Are you talking about like stuff you've learned in school that you know is not consistent with reality, or is it
It's
like
just
like
you're reading
science fiction?
science fiction. Yeah, well, I'm sure Haley has to read lots of different scientific literature, scientific research papers and that, and then look at them and go like, wait, no, that doesn't line up with other things I've heard before. Yeah, sure.
Well, and here's the thing you got to know about Haley. Haley is so brilliantly smart.
Hmm.
Like she's gonna find those inconsistencies
Yeah.
probably pretty easily, because yeah, Haley, uh, my hat's off to you. You are very brilliant. Oh, it's when all the literature on something says one thing and all of your data says another thing. I gotcha.
Right.
Oh, so you're looking at the real world, like in the lab, and you're like, oh, this is doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the literature says it should be doing something different. And
Mm.
oh, man. Yes, I understand. Oh, that's an interesting perspective, Neon Size. So the Bible is just an interpretation of events, in my opinion. It kind of floats in a realm of not 100% true or false. I guess to me, what's true or false, actually, it doesn't really matter. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of scholars that believe some of the books of the Bible. I mean, they're inspired. They're like what we believe. They're inspired by the Holy Spirit. But however, um, some of those stories, like they point to Job, the book of Job, and they say a lot of scholars will say that's not there's nothing in recorded history. There's nothing, other than this book in the Bible, there's nothing else that kind of even alludes to that. So they figure it's a made up story, like it's a parable
Mm,
of sorts, right? They talk about that with some other Old Testament books too, that some of them were just invented, but to teach spiritual things, right?
mm,
So there is it's interesting to hear scholars
mm.
talk about stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, we talk about the Bible being inspired, word through the Holy Spirit, and when you read the Bible, it is clearly a human experience. Humans relaying their human experience, and their encounters with God, but a lot of it doesn't even like. There's a large portion of the Bible that doesn't even necessarily include God. It's just people going about their lives, and then encountering
Uh-huh.
God. But sometimes, yeah. So, and in those writings, I think that you do have that realm of like, this is how I experience this and how I'm painting it and how I remember it, sort of that sort
Mhm.
of thing. So it could be not even 100% necessarily accurate while still being um, having useful truth or wisdom within it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting, very very interesting set of many books. But we do have some topics, which is fantastic.
We do.
I see that you're
And one of them is
yeah.
I'm working on Mianglioses right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mianglios, this is a great topic. I'm looking forward to doing this one. Thank you.
Yeah.
It actually goes along the
Most of
lines of
what we're
what we're
talking,
just
yeah.
talking
I
about
saw
right
that.
now.
I was like, hey, well, that's useful. Um, yeah.
Uh, I'm just putting together a summary here real quick,
That's
and then we'll be
exactly
ready.
right,
Um,
Nyansai. Nyansai says, for example, a family of siblings could write a true story of their childhood, and while speaking true to their experiences, they vary and differ so much, even around the same events. And that is absolutely true. And in fact, that's one of the believe it or not, for scholars, that's one of the greatest proofs there is that the Bible was actually written by the apostles and it wasn't
mm,
fabricated nor inspired. And the idea that Jesus never existed and they just kind of moved about it is because each apostle
mhm,
tells the stories from their own memory of the experience, and you expect that to be vastly different. If they were too similar, it would be dismissed and say like, well, these people didn't actually experience this because they obviously conspired, got their stories straight, and then wrote about it. Instead, what you see is a variety of different um, tellings of the same story from different understandings from each, which is, yeah, kind of cool. But yeah, it's just like you
okay.
said.
Oh,
So we
er,
had,
uh,
thank you so much, Jan and Myanglios for sending in.
yes. Yes, you guys are amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Saule, hey, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Nice.
What the oh, what the Oh, there it is. I did it. Okay. I think. Oh shoot. Wait. What? Hold on.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah. And then also, Myanglio, as you said, I kind of feel the same, Yansei. I don't particularly feel the need to see certain things as true or false. I recently was hearing this and I was like, yeah, this is absolutely true. You um Someone was going on about politics and they're like, you don't actually need to have an answer to everything. You don't need to have an opinion on everything. Some things, as a politician, sometimes things could crop up and you should be able to say, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't have enough information yet. I don't think I have the right information to give an opinion. And not even just as a politician, but that's us as well. Especially people get so riled up about politics. They pick their side, or even if you don't pick your side, you pick what you think is right and wrong, and so on and so forth, for country, and it can be incredibly useful to take the approach of like, well, I don't think I know enough about that to an informed opinion. That could probably be the best thing to say in many cases, when being addressed about. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly what you're saying, but it's still useful. But yeah, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes things can be true and they contradict each other in some ways, but not all. Okay, Young Leo says, I am currently agnostic with a little bit of a lean. All right, well, which topic shall we do first? We've got, well, Sparrow isn't here yet. Sparrow's here is not yet here.
Sparrow's not here, but Sparrow's messaging with me.
Oh, okay.
And he's working, so he's not going to be here. And he was like, you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, but the nature of your topic, I'd really like to have you here. Because it's got one where, some questions could be asked and, like dive a little bit deeper. So he said, so I asked if we wait till next week, and he said that works. To just send a DM next week when we start. So.
All right. Well, thanks to you guys. We now have some topics.
Boom.
Yeah. And thank you, Joe, for dialoguing with Sparrow to figure that out. So we'll do it next week. That's great.
Dude, I'm the great dialoguer.
You are.
Just ask anybody.
The master of the dialogue.
The master of something. I don't even know what anymore.
Wordsmith. Master wordsmith.
I'm still figuring it out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We all are. Communication is hard.
Yeah.
It's a battle for all of us. Okay.
Oh my gosh. What's up? Sorry, my microphone's being stupid.
This happened to me before the stream, remember?
Yes.
It took a two-party team to solve it. Okay, well, now that we're
Haley,
nearly 30 minutes in.
Dear sweetheart.
Yeah, that's true. Now that we're nearly 30 minutes in, I'll give the disclaimer and we can start one of these topics. Thank you for joining us at Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show about the problems and struggles of life. This is a show about whatever's going on in your world and not ours, whatever's going on in life. And our attempt to be someone who walks alongside you and gives just advice from our humble own experiences and encourages the chat to do the same. We are not psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything along those lines, any of us, though there may someday be doctors here and so on, but we, at least Joe and I, speaking for ourselves, are not professional psychologists, psychiatrists, anything such as that. We are just musicians and, well, cabinet makers, I guess. Joe is, and etc. We've done a lot of different jobs, but have never been given
professional.
Never been given the certifications for diagnosing people with things and so on. But we can give you our best. We can give you our best from our own experiences, from studying wisdom and paying attention to lives, our own lives and the lives around us. A lot of times we can pick up on wisdom that are experiencing hardship around us. So be thankful that we can do that. We don't have to experience everything firsthand. But yeah, this is our show, and we hope that you guys find it useful in your lives, regardless of whatever comes out of this. Or whatever topic we end up doing. We've got right here. I'm going to. Which of these do you think will be? Joe, do you think you have a preference?
I mean, we're already kind of we're kind of already in the spiritual vein of things, right?
Okay, that's fair. Let's do the Myungleos one then. We'll do Myanglios's and then
Yeah.
we'll do Neon's. This is already, I can see it's a great question. I'm going to stop the thing about the kangaroos. No one asked, so no one gets to learn. And
Huh?
what? No one saw
What?
the
No one
current
gets to
topic.
learn.
Yeah, we had a current topic the whole time, but got it. So
Oh,
great.
yes.
The answer is probably, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I realize I need to copy this. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to pull up the topic on the screen, so you guys can feel free to desire. This is from Myanglios. It is titled Christianity, and it reads as follows. I have been going to Catholic church with my girlfriend and a non-denominational Christian ministry at my university, and have asked my girlfriend and one of my friends in the ministry a question. And I was wondering what y'all's answer to the question would be. I also thought Ash Wednesday would be an appropriate day to ask them. For someone who is figuring out their beliefs and all that has been who is figuring out their beliefs and all that and has been going to Christian church, what would you say is the best level or minimum belief of the Christian faith? Sorry, base level, that makes more. What would you say is the base level or minimum belief of the Christian faith? Like, what belief makes someone a Christian? Thanks, Myanglios. Thank you, Myanglios. That is a great question. And it's a question I've heard before.
Very good question.
Which is
the question with a lot of answers.
Yes, it has a lot of answers depending on the person. I've seen a really interesting debate. It wasn't even a debate. It was interesting because it was staged as a debate, but one person just asked the other person questions the whole time and then it ended. Like, it was brilliant. But what was kind of interesting is just by doing that, the kind of like, I don't know, the questionnaire, the person that was kind of debating them didn't ever say anything about their arguments or anything, just kept on questioning them and bringing out deeper and deeper surfaces. And this was kind of what they were trying to get at. But it was interesting to watch the person kind of unravel it. In some ways, a lot of people who were commenting on the video were like, wow, that's interesting how they dug their own hole. But it happens. So anyways, that's kind of neither here nor there, but it is a question that can be very difficult, but it can also be simple. So it does have many answers. I'm interested what Joe has to say about this before I answer it. So I'm just gonna loosen the reins and give it over to Joe and enjoy the show. Go for it, Joe. All yours.
All right. I am, I'm seeing you guys in the chat. So, all right. So Nyansai says, if you believe in Jesus, you Christian. If you baptized, you Christian. Haley says, I've often heard Christianity at its simplest definition being believing in Christ. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just a label, right? And then Mianglio says, both the people I've asked said what you said, Nyansai, that believing in Jesus is what makes someone a Christian. And then Haley goes on, what you believe and your relationship with God and what Christ is, and with Christ is something unique and personal to you. And only you can be the one to decide how to label it. You guys are great. You guys are right on the right track. And I think you're all right in that sense. Like, because I think it's very interesting because it kind of depends on who you ask. Because I know people that would say, well, if you vote Democrat, you're not a Christian.
Yeah, okay. I've heard people like that.
Or if you are a Democratic politician, you're not Christian. Or, whatever. And so it kind of comes down to the negative where it's like, well, if you do this, you're not Christian, right?
Yeah.
But really, what it means. Like, so if you go back to the very, very beginning of Christianity, when it was like the 12 apostles after Christ ascended into heaven and ascended it,
Did
ascended it, and you take what they taught and what they believed, you became a Christian when you were baptized. That's when you became a Christian. According to, like, you go and read the Didache. The Didache was like the common practices of the ancient church. And that was written in maybe right around the year 100 or a little before the year 100. So it was like not long after all the New Testament scriptures had been written. Now they hadn't been compiled into scripture yet. They were just letters at that point. They didn't get compiled until the 300s. But anyway, so without, barring all this big huge history lesson, what does that even mean? And I think you guys are right. I think basically if you believe in Christ and you believe what he taught, then you're probably a Christian. But Haley, I like what you said, where at the end of the day, it's just a label, right? And I mean, we can label ourselves and put ourselves in this group as Christian. And in that, in just doing that, we could alienate ourselves from all kinds of people and lose all kinds of influence with people because some people just have this idea of what Christianity is based on maybe they came across some Christians who did some really, really crappy things, right? And so there becomes this prejudice and whatnot. And so it's like, I really don't like labels. I, I don't like them at all. I mean, I fit into whatever groups I fit into, I guess. And, it's what it is. But at the same time, I don't like labels. I'm like, okay, you say you don't like Christians. Well, you like me, and I'm a Christian. Maybe I can help, like help you think better of Christianity in general and help you understand that, just because somebody misused the religion in a certain way, it's not what it's all about, you know. Yes, you're right, Haley. Haley says, even with my religion, we consider ourselves Christians, but there's a lot of people who tell us we aren't. And yes, you're right, because Haley is Latter-day Saints. I'm sorry if you didn't want me to mention that, but um hey Wix,
Wix.
good to see you. Um, but I mean, you base a lot of your stuff on the teachings of Christ, and so to me, that's Christian. There's and it's interesting because I think even in the catechism. So the Catholic Church has a definition of Christian that would exclude the Latter-day Saints because of our beliefs on the Trinity of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's a different, what we believe about the Holy Trinity is different than what the Latter-day Saints believe about the Holy Trinity. We both believe in the Holy Trinity, but the way, like who each one of those members is, that belief is a little bit different, right? And so, or maybe we don't believe in the Holy Trinity. Maybe you guys are different. I don't know. I'm confused. I've read so much religious literature, guys. It's crazy. I've read the Bible like a bazillion times. I've read the Catechism like 7 times. I've read the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price, all the Latter-day Saints scriptures. I've read the what's the Islam one? The Quran.
Quran. Yeah.
Yeah, I've read most of that, like probably 75-80% of the Quran. And a bunch of Buddhist stuff. And, like, here's the thing, you can find wisdom in all of it. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that you can find God in all of it. And what we mean by God is the origin of our universe, right? the uncaused cause. Like, so like if you look at, okay, everything that exists had some kind of a cause. Well, so what caused this? Well, okay, what caused me? Well, my parents, right? And so like what caused them, and then what caused that, and you know, and you can go back and back and back until eventually you end up with nothing. And it's like, what caused the beginning of all of this? And we put a label of God on that in my belief system, right? So it's basically the origin of all things. Mianglios, though, I tell you, to be a Christian, I believe what you guys are saying. Okay, yes, Haley, the Trinitarian doctrine is where a lot of people get caught up in. Yes, absolutely. And there's just it's not a major difference. There's just minor differences in that, but you know, it's like I don't know, it causes this great debate. And I would say, Mianglios, if you have some time to get a book or an audio book, and this question is bothering you, the absolute best synopsis I've read on this topic is called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. And C.S. Lewis is a tremendous writer, very engaging, like everything. It's very easy to read and it goes by quick. It's not a huge book.
He wrote
But
Narnia.
Mere Christianity. Yes, he wrote Chronicles of Narnia, all that stuff. So he wrote fiction and he also wrote a bunch of other stuff. My favorite work of his is called The Great Divorce. It's not
Mm.
about the divorce of a marriage,
Mm-mm.
but like that, like that's my favorite C.S. Lewis book.
Yeah.
But I've also read Mere Christianity, and that's probably the best of saying, okay, when you break down all these different religions that call themselves Christian, what are the things that that they have in common? You know, what are the things that they kind of base those beliefs off of? And he really nails it in there. And there's a whole bunch of different factors and whatnot, but you know, like I don't know. To me, if Jesus is the excuse me, if Jesus is the center of your religion, to me that makes you a Christian because it's about Christ, right? So, I mean, we go on and on and on and all kinds of stuff. Haley. Haley, I love you. You're in the chat. Great. I always find it interesting learning about others' belief systems. My first religion class I took at university was world religions. We studied religions from all around the world. And at the core, a lot of the religions and beliefs are pretty similar. They have a lot of similar elements to them. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Miang Leo's added that book to your list of my book recommendations. Good. It's a good one. Um, and yeah, so I would recommend reading Mere Christianity if that's a topic that's bothering you or on your mind a lot. That would explain a lot. But to me, it's just if you base your religious system that you are involved in on Christ, then I would consider you a Christian, whether you're baptized or not baptized, whether you go to a Catholic church or a Baptist church or a non-denominational church or a Pentecostal church or a Latter-day Saints church or whatever church, you know, I consider them to be Christian. And I don't know, that's me, my personal opinion, my personal take on it. And I don't know, do with it what you will. I could go way deeper and get way theological. I've read so much. Um, but follow-up question. To believe in Jesus, does one have to believe everything the Bible says he did in the interpretation that is accepted? No, I don't believe that because there are a lot of different interpretations. And most of these interpretations were posited by humans, and humans aren't always right. So you will find churches that will say, um, you know, if you don't believe things this way, then you're not a Christian, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've
Yep.
heard of that.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Haley. A lot of different Christian denominations have different accepted interpretations. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But that doesn't make them any less Christian than another one, in my opinion. Because really, at the end of the day, like Haley said, Christianity, the word Christian is a label. And it's not about, you know, doing this, doing that, believing this, believing that. It's really about like what Haley was talking about. It's your relationship with your creator is what's important. And in my personal opinion, there are a lot of people that are like, "Oh, well, if you're not." Baptists are kind of notorious for this actually, but it's like if you don't believe it this way, you're immediately damned or whatever. Like you're going to hell unless you believe exactly this. And then they try and scare people into coming to their church, right? And and to me, I fully reject that because I believe you can find your way to God. There was a time for a long time in human history before Christ existed that people still lived, you know, in peace with God and in, favor with God or whatever. And still, in my opinion, I'm sure they're in heaven. In fact, I'm sure of it because even in scripture it talks about it. Because Jesus in the transfiguration, who's he meet? He meets Moses and Elijah. He would not have been able to meet them in the sky on the mountain or whatever the heck, and if they were in hell, or well, he could have, I guess, but like it wouldn't have been the same type of deal. So these guys predate Christianity, and yet they're in heaven. So that tells me right there, you don't need to be Christian to go to heaven. But a lot of people will say that you do. And so anyway, um, Anglo says, I feel I could believe in Jesus in some way, but I don't. No, but I don't. The way the lie. But I don't know if I would believe in the same way that heaven and hell and God and all that is formatted. And a lot of the Old Testament is hard for me. You're right. The Old Testament is very difficult. Some of those are really difficult. I'm in the middle of Leviticus right now. And that's
Yeah.
that book. That's the book. That's the most common book where people stop reading the Bible all
Yes.
the way through. Like they make this commitment and they're like, I'm going to read the Bible front to back and I'm going to do it great. They get into Leviticus and then they quit. And
That's
I get
why
it.
that's
It's
why I
tough.
love Brant Pitre, because it's his favorite book and he just goes on and on about how awesome it is, and no one else sees what he's, because everyone
Mm,
just glosses over it because they've, it's a hard thing to read.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
Numbers isn't easy either because then you
Well,
got
the
so and so beget so and so beget so and so beget
Numbers
so and
and
so. You have all
Leviticus
these
go hand in hand.
lineages. Yeah, those two are tough, man. But then you get past those, and then it opens back up again, and it becomes a lot more engaging. It's just a lot of that stuff seems irrelevant to us, but it wasn't at the time to them.
Yeah.
Like it was very relevant at the time those books were, you know, written and used. Um, you feel? Oh, Kishan says, I feel like a lot of fellow Baptists completely miss most of the point of the Old Testament. I would agree with that. So numbers, but it's not even math. I know. I
Sound right.
know.
So he's like, man, I
There's more
wish it was math.
numbers in Leviticus where they're talking about measurements and all that kind of stuff, like
Someone tell me what a
yeah,
cubit
you're
is.
right. Yeah, I know. A span, a
Yeah.
bath,
Uh-huh.
all these measurements they had.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, so anyway, ah, the numbers, Moses, what do they mean? What do they mean?
That's so good.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So anyway, that's the basic gist of my response to this. If you base your religion on Christ, I in my opinion, that makes you a Christian. So I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan. Ryan's probably gonna have a different opinion, and then he and I can have a fight. It's gonna be fun.
We'll see. Joey don't tend to only only a couple.
That's true.
But really, it wasn't
We
even a
did a
fight.
few times. We have.
Yeah.
Even after I was Catholic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before I was Catholic, we fought a lot more about religious
Yeah.
stuff.
It wasn't even a fight, you know. It was just like a conversation most of the time. The etiquette was so calm.
You're right.
And open to hearing the other thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We wouldn't really fight.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get hurt. Just like got muscles and stuff.
You don't want to get hurt?
No, this is a great question. I really liked your answer, Joe. That was really good. I mean, I think of how many people would there are a lot of documented cases where someone who is not a Christian turns to God near their final moments. There are literal martyrs of the church who, under persecution, they were like soldiers and were persecuting Christians. They had them lined up and were about to kill them all. And then one of the soldiers just breaks line and says, "You know what? I think they're right." And then they get in line. Were they a Christian? Well, they weren't baptized, so they weren't part of the religion. You know, were they a Christian? Well, you could say like for so many reasons that they weren't, because they were not a part of the religion. But yet we consider them martyrs. We consider them saints because of their actions of being willing to be killed God. And so we go like, okay, so technically not a Christian because they didn't what to believe. Were they a follower of Christ though? And you say, well, yeah, clearly they were a follower of Christ, follower unto death. And they followed him, hopefully, you know, like up into heaven, right? So it's like, so I think Christian, at its basic term, I think most literally means follower of Christ. But how you follow Christ might vary, right? Even two people from the same religion, have two Baptists of the same kind, two Catholics of the same kind, they might follow, and they should. Because we're different people. We have different relationships. We have different experiences in our lives. And we all have different talents and have different things to bring to the table. And so, and that's part of the deal, and it's what makes it cool. So, I would say probably follower of Christ. And what does that mean? That means you deem Christ worthy to attempt to become like him, to attempt to adhere to what you understand about, to stand up for Christ, to be willing to be persecuted for Christ. I think those things are things that mark you as a Christian. But the interesting thing is, I mean, this may be slightly dependent upon your religion, whether people agree with me or not. But you know, you could die not a Christian. Joe was saying people before Christ, and that has no bearing of whether God would, to some degree, right? Just because you're not a Christian doesn't necessarily mean God, because God's the one inviting you, right? That's the bottom line, is God is the one inviting you into, you know, I think the story is often told in very, as if everything's a court case type of deal. And I think that does a little bit of a disjustice to, or an injustice to the reality of things, because the covenant that God makes with people, you know, you could be a perfect person. You could have never sinned in your whole life. You could be a human being that has never sinned in your whole life. You are a perfect person and you die, right? But it doesn't give you any permission to go into heaven just because you are perfect. You could be perfect and die and not go to heaven. Because heaven is not your home. It's God's home. You don't just get to go to heaven just because you're perfect. That's never been a thing. You can't like, my last name is Seawald. You don't just get to become a Seawald and walk into my home because you never sinned. There's two very different things. There's a, I don't owe you that. And God doesn't owe you heaven. Instead, what we have is God coming down from heaven to earth to meet with humanity and to offer them be a part of God's family. That is a much more beautiful story. And that is the story that we encounter through Jesus and through the Old Testament, time and time again in the Old Testament. 7 times. Well, 6 times, and then Jesus. So what we see is God coming down from heaven, creating humanity, and then coming to humanity multiple times, saying, hey, I'm inviting you into my family. That's what a covenant is. That's what God makes the covenants for. I'm inviting you into my family. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. It's not a legalistic thing. It's an offer. And so when you die, and you've met at least the minimum criteria, right? And you've said, God, I love you. I would love to love you more. I would love to be in your kingdom. I would love to be in. And you actually act like that, and God's the one that invited you. So it's not by me. It's not necessarily by any action that we've taken or any necessarily belief that we've decided, but through the acceptance of God's request to you, or rather, not even request, but question to you, which is ultimately, will you love me? And if you say, yes, God, I will love you, then you're a part of his family. And therefore, heaven is now your home. Because God has made it so, adopted you, right? And that's the terms, those are the words we often see in the Bible, using the word adoption, covenant, family, love, all of that. That is what we see in the Bible. So I think that what is a Christian kind of is an interesting question, but not the main one, in that the main question is, God has come to ask us, will you love me? If our answer is yes, then that's really the answer. And while it is important to figure out and distinguish, like, well, I'm Christian or am I not a Christian, blah, 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 blah. I think if you can answer that question, if God were to come to you and say, will you love me? Whoever I am, I might not agree with everything you want. I might not want the same things you want. Just as there are different people, and God's going to have a mind way above our own and way bigger vision, but also be able to see so many things that we can't see. But also some of the things we think are right are probably wrong. Some of the things we want for ourselves are probably not good for ourselves, And so when we say,
unless you're me.
Yeah, well, unless you're Joe, who is at least, not less than perfect. maybe not perfect, but at least no less.
Yes.
And that is a classic kind of definition of Christianity, and that is to will the will of God. Or in other words, to love God, to desire His above your own. Because if you can do that, then and only then can you really follow Christ to begin with. Because you have to come to a point where you trust God. Now here's the thing. Are there Christians who don't trust God? Millions.
Yes.
Billions.
I struggle with that.
Sure. It's very normal to experience that. And so does that mean they're not a Christian? No. A Christian is someone who's trying. Because a Christian is someone who sees that they should follow and is attempting and is not getting it right probably most of the time, but some of the times they get it right, that's a Christian. A lot of times the church is referred to as a hospital for those who are trying to become more holy and fix themselves and get better. It's not the place for all the perfect people to go. That's why you don't find perfect people in the church. You find sinners. But we're all sinners.
Yeah.
And so we all need that. But we don't need God because we're sinners. We just need God because we need God. We were made that way. We're people, human beings, with that sort of bond, whether we wanted it or not. And we're a very relational beings, spiritual beings. And so all of that kind of comes into play. So, yeah, I think kind of that's the best answer I have. What is a Christian? I gave that answer. It can be defined as many things. I think the best definition I could think of is someone who is a follower of Christ. It doesn't mean that they accurately follow them or follow them well or are faithful all the time. But you hope that they are. You hope that they continue to become more and more faithful. But yeah, it's of someone who has decided they are going to follow Christ. That's Christian. Of Christ, I think is probably one of the more I can't think of words today. It's probably more accurate in terms of the meaning of the exact meaning of the word. If you were to break it down, Christ, Christ being Savior, Messiah, those are all just kind of alternate terms. And Ian, who's a dude, who I don't even know Ian, but no, I'm kidding. Okay, not that one. But anyways, yeah, I think Christ follower is probably the best I could give. But again, in the end, what matters most? And I don't like the idea that the thing that matters most is getting to heaven, because I don't think that's accurate. I think the thing that matters most is because even here on earth, we have interactions with God. We have interactions with others. And if we can be followers of God and love God, like, that can be done now. We don't have to wait till heaven to do that, right? We can love God now, right? So for me, it's not about getting into heaven or being holy so that you can get in heaven or being sinless so you can get into heaven. Heaven is not the reward. Heaven is where you're invited to. The reward is being holy, is experiencing that and loving God and receiving God's love. Because the more you love God, the more you can actually receive it. I think that's kind of not transactional, but you're more mentally aware of it. And being more mentally aware allows you to actually sort of receive it better. As with anything. If you're not even aware that there's music playing in the background, you're not even noticing it. But then the second you notice, like, oh wait,
there's music in the background?
No, not right now. Or maybe someone has music in the background. Maybe they're on the subway. Maybe they're in a restaurant, or whatever, and there's music in the background, and they didn't notice until I just said that, and they're like, oh yeah, there is music now. Now I can take it in, right? Now I can listen to it. But it's been there the whole time. And I think that's God. Well, so kind of like God has loved you into existence, and his love is perpetual. It's constant. And we can receive that more if we notice it. And we notice it by our own love and the way that we love others, but also the way that we love God. And so I think the most amazing thing is to love God and then also to love neighbors. Love your neighbors, which is exactly what Jesus asks of. He literally boils down all the commandments to. Some people say, which I wouldn't disagree with, he adds an extra commandment to love your neighbor. But, like, love God.
Yes, it did.
Love your neighbor. Love your neighbors wasn't a commandment in the 10 Commandments.
No, it's the summation of commandments 4 through 10.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
If you take commandments 4 through 10, that's love your neighbor.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
Yeah. I'm saying it. That's what I was saying. He surmised all of the 10 commandments in basically 2 commandments.
Got you.
And some people would say, well, he added a
Exactly.
commandment. And I'm like, okay, sure, you could say it that way too. But anyways, so to love God above all things and to love your neighbors as you love yourself. And I think that you just follow that. That's pretty good Christian. But even more so, not just a Christian, I think you're doing everything. That is the beauty of living. If you can do that well, you've got life figured out. I mean, doesn't mean life's going to be easy. In fact, it might be harder for you. In many cases, it will. But difficulty of life, the point of life isn't to try to make life as easy as possible. The point of life isn't necessarily to acquire the most wealth as possible and then lose it when you die. The point of life, I think, is hopefully as any Christian would understand, is one of life is to love. Because we were created by love, and we were created to be loved, and we were created for love. And we were created with special power as human beings to be able to love God. That is really something special. If we can do that, then we have given God back to some small, tiny amount what he's made us for. We're fulfilling the thing that we existed for and out of. So, in my opinion, I think that's the deepest roots that you get to. At least without, I'm sure we could add piles and piles and piles of theology, but I think that's probably my take on it. Best take on it. That said, there have been things in the chat that I have been, but I would like to read those over.
It's okay. I've been reading them.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm gonna give it over to Joe.
I
probably
can
has more to say because I feel like I've talked quite a long time on it.
You're good, man.
Yeah, Joe.
No, you said a lot. You said a lot of the important stuff. That's what was important. I'm going to respond to your follow-up, Mianglios. Mianglios says, another follow-up question. If my beliefs remain mostly agnostic and is there any problem with me joining the Catholic Church and getting baptized? I would ask you a question to your question and say, why? Why is it important to become Catholic? Is it because of your girlfriend? Because you're looking at the possibility of getting married, and are there people telling you that in order for you to marry a Catholic, you have to become a Catholic? If that's being taught to you, that's incorrect. This very wrong teaching, but I know it's very common that people are like, okay, in order, if you're going to marry a Catholic, you have to become a Catholic. And that's dead wrong. I know a lot of people who have been married, that married Catholics but they weren't Catholic when they got married. And some of them still aren't, right? But they still are married, and you can get married. And like for your marriage to be valid, okay, cool. Nobody's saying you need to be Catholic to marry a Catholic. Okay, good. I would say, choosing Catholicism is not, it's not just being like, okay, I decide I'm going to be a Catholic, and then all of a sudden you're a Catholic. There's a process, and in order to become a Catholic, there are things that you have to agree to in your conscience, right? Like you go through this whole process called OCIA. It's in process right now. It's almost to its completion now that we're in Lent. It generally runs from the fall until Easter. And Easter is when they welcome people who decide in that process of OCIA, which is the ordinary or something. It used to be RCIA, which is a rite of Christian initiation for adults. Now it's OCIA, maybe the
I don't know what OCI is.
Ordinary. I forget what OCI,
I've never
what
been
the
through
O stands
OCIA.
for.
I helped
Oh,
someone
you're
through
in
RCIA.
OCIA.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually taught that. I went through it, and I had so many questions. I was annoying, but I already knew a lot of the answers because I had already studied so much before I even started RCIA. It was RCIA at the time, but OCIA. Um, so there are some things that you go through in OCIA where you have to be like, okay, this is what I believe, right? And if you don't believe that in your conscience, don't lie and say you do just so you can become a Catholic, because it's not worth it. There's to go against your conscience is the worst thing you can possibly do. So don't do that. Okay. If what's being presented to you at OCIA is presenting struggles for you, ask the questions, ask for more materials, ask for that kind of stuff. And it depends on its level of importance to you. So like I would say to answer your question simply, if your beliefs remain mostly agnostic, I don't think you should become a Catholic, because there's a lot baked into the things that they're going to ask you to affirm that are not really consistent with agnosticism. And I guess it depends on what you mean by agnostic too, because there's a lot of different flavors of that, right? So like basically from what I know and from what I understand, being an agnostic means, okay, I believe there's something out there, but I don't know what it is, you know?
Sure.
And but there's a lot of different variations in that, right? Um the
Well,
process of going through
yeah.
OCIA and becoming Catholic is going to answer the question of what that thing is that you don't know what it is, right? And there are things like if you just look at the creeds, so like every Sunday at Mass we say the Nicene Creed. That's basically, if you believe everything that is said in the Nicene Creed, then yes, you should become a Catholic. If you don't believe everything that's in the Nicene Creed, I would recommend don't become a Catholic yet until you work through the things that are in the Nicene Creed. And then you can be like, okay, once you kind of work through those, and this could take years. It's okay if it does. None of this is like urgent. Okay. Um, okay, Manglio says, I believe in God and some sort of afterlife, but I don't have a specific version of what I believe. Okay, that's cool. Then maybe, yeah, maybe that's totally fine, because there's a lot of arguments about, what actually is heaven, what actually is hell. I think, in my personal opinion,
It's
if
not
you
defined.
watch the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves, what?
I said, yeah, it's not defined. Catholic Church.
Right, there's a
Complete.
lot. Exactly. But I honestly, my belief on heaven and hell is that they're kind of like different dimensions that exist alongside us, and they're all around us all the time. Right? It's not like heaven isn't a place in outer space,
Right,
and
right.
hell isn't a place in the core of the earth,
The center of the earth.
right? But there are representations of heaven and hell that would make you potentially believe that. But that's my particular belief on that, because like, I mean, angels are immaterial beings, they're intelligent, they're complete intellect, not but they have no body. Now they can manipulate matter to make them appear to have a body, right? So they can appear to humans. um oh, in olden times hell was thought of water as instead of fire. That's interesting. um yeah. uh Okay. Manglio says, I don't fully believe or disbelieve in how things are specified in religions. And that's perfectly okay. But I will tell you, in order to become a Catholic, like basic, and to be in full communion with the Catholic Church, and that means in order to receive communion and probably to receive baptism as an adult, you will probably be asked to, if you affirm that you believe what the Catholic Church teaches, because that's the way you get into the Catholic Church. And I know that seems like, oh, well, I have to believe everything you believe. Well, why would you not? You know? But here's the thing. Most Catholics I know get a whole bunch of it wrong anyway.
That's true.
And I probably have a bunch of it wrong.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of problems with a lot of Catholics. In fact, Catholics make me more mad than anybody, except maybe Baptists.
Wow. Okay.
But mostly I get really upset at Catholics because I'm like, dude, you have no, like, you're totally wrong.
You have no excuse. Yeah.
You don't know your own stuff. And part of that's my fault because I actually like read so much. I read and listened and studied. And so, this is something I know a lot about. But Haley, man, Haley's so wise. At the end of the day, you should follow what feels right to you. Now, yes, to an extent, because our feelings can deceive us. Right?
Sure.
But you're absolutely right. What's in your conscience, Mianglios? What's your conscience telling you? Because some of the wisest words ever said were from Martin Luther, who actually most Catholics don't like Martin Luther. And most of the stuff that Martin Luther did, I'm not a big fan of either. However, he did say something that was very important. And he was like, to go against conscience is neither right nor safe. And he was spot on with that statement. So your conscience is going to kind of be your guide. If you have a struggle with something in the teachings of Catholicism, the answers are out there. You can find them. The Augustine Institute's a big place for, that has a lot of information, because reading the catechism, I mean, look at this thing. It's stinking huge. Right?
Yeah. I also
Big
like
book,
Catholic Answers.
lots of words.
It's online.
Lots of words, tiny words. Like 1,000. How many pages? Before we get to the index, it's 756 pages. 2,865 paragraphs. It's a lot. And most Catholics don't know half of it.
I know that.
And don't follow half of it.
Know that to be true.
But whatever.
Hard.
But the catechism isn't scripture either, right? That's just it's been amended. It's not seen as the end all be all of Catholicism. It's just kind of a guide for teaching people about what the church teaches. And it's a really good guide, but it's not infallible or anything like that. So I don't know. If it's really up to you, Mianglios. But basically, yeah, if you can agree with everything in the Nicene Creed, then become a Catholic by all means, in your conscience. If you can believe what is said in the Nicene Creed, then yes, become a Catholic. If you struggle with it, but there's a difference between a doubt and like a disbelief, right? So if you just have doubts, that's not going to necessarily close a door, because everybody has doubts, like Ryan was talking about. And that's okay. And it's normal. But if in your conscience you're going against something, you say something or read something in the Nicene Creed and you're like, no, I totally don't agree with that, then no, please don't become a Catholic. And nobody's going to think more or less of you. Well, anybody that matters anyway. There are stupid people out there that are going to think less of you anyway because they're stupid. But
they're going to think less of you no matter what, probably.
Right. It doesn't matter. But um yeah, I don't know. I go because Haley, you're right. You should do what feels right to you. But yes, also I know that like even what Ryan says, like sometimes the things I feel are right are way not right.
I'll do that.
Yeah. What Twashu, hey, welcome. You have Spotify. Twashu says, I have Spotify running in the background and it just started playing BDAT.
Oh yeah. I was
That's
so
great.
confused. That's hilarious, Twasher. That's really funny.
Oh, Mianglios, good question. Does it still count if I believe it in a different interpretation than what is commonly believed?
Hmm.
I'm going to ask for a specific. If you don't want to divulge your specific, but if you're comfortable saying what it is, then I can give you a better answer. Yeah, 5.7 thousand songs in your liked songs, and this happens.
That's incredible. That's
I
incredible.
love it. That's great. Um, so Mianglios, I guess it really kind of depends on what the interpretation is. Um, and you can talk to a priest, you can talk to your I see. I don't
Hmm.
know specific yet. I was just asking for when I'm deciding what I believe. Got you. Okay. Feel free. I'll say this, Mianglios. Anytime, DM me if you have a question. I learned this stuff. I studied this stuff and extreme depth. I taught this stuff and I'm happy to help in any way I possibly can. So if you come across something specific and you're struggling with it and you have questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to dialogue with you on any of this stuff. And if I don't know the answer, I'll look it up and I'll find the answer for you.
I think
Haley, thank you.
yeah.
I would like to add that it's good to ask questions. You know what's hilarious is because my neighbors that I grew up next door to are Catholics. And I remember having a discussion with the mom of this family, right? And this was after I had become a Catholic, and she was all like, "Oh, yeah, you became a Catholic, yay!" Blah 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 blah. Blah. And I'm like, "Yeah." One of the great things is like anytime you have some kind of question, the answer is there. Like the answer is somewhere,
Hmm.
and you can find it, and you can figure out where it is, and you can dig in, and you can have your questions answered. She's like, "You're not supposed to have questions. You just do it because that's what they say." And I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, no wonder every single one of your children left the church.
Hmm.
It doesn't surprise me one bit
You didn't say
with
that to
that
her,
kind of. No, I didn't say that out loud, but I
Yeah.
was like, no wonder. Like,
Yeah.
because when you focus on the rules and you're just like, yeah, there's hardline rules and blah, 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 and you just do it because we say, and I'm just like, shut up. Like, walk into this.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on that too. I was gonna say one thing that I really appreciated when I was a little kid. I remember the priest saying multiple times, in front of all of mass, and then even in private conversations. If you don't, if you're doubtful about something, if you're confused, if you think that something's not right, if I say something that you think is not true, blah blah blah, ask questions. Go out there, be skeptical of be skeptical
Yes.
of Catholicism, be skeptical of Christianity, because that skepticism is what's going to help you find the information that'll lead you back here. It's basically what he was saying, and I really appreciated that because kind of what I found to be the case as well. So yeah, that's kind of interesting.
And always be very, very skeptical of Haley.
Oh no, she
I'm just
does
kidding.
have some weird letters in her
I'm
name.
kidding.
Hey,
I'm
raise a
kidding.
few eyebrows. Like, are you sure that's how that's
Unless we're
spelled? No, I'm
talking
kidding.
about unless we're talking about bulletproof coffee.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah. Yeah, asking questions, searching for what you believe, produce stronger faith than just blindly following it. I have to that. But yeah, I find a really good resource if you just like whenever I'm like, what's the Catholic faith say about this or the other thing, whatever. It could be a line in the Bible or it could just be an idea or a concept, a position on something. I like to just Google it and tag Catholic Answers onto it. Because Catholic Answers is a pretty great resource for you've got these individuals who have done their homework and have basically been on air answering questions for the last decade. And so all of it's kind of written out in transcript. And it's a very good resource. Not all of it necessarily is all just transcript of a conversation. Much of it is just an common questions. But I find that's a really great resource. So if you ever have a question, Google it. But I do warn you, don't Google something and just say, what do Catholics believe about this? I would say,
oh, you're going to get all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem territory. Because if you ask, what does a Catholic say about this? You're going to get probably a lot of resource of non-Catholics who want to disprove Catholicism, reporting on it. And so you're going to get misinformation. Your intentional misinformation. Information that's designed intentionally to be wrong, whether they know it's wrong or not. They just don't know. People are just passing on information from one to another. I think there's not so much, it's not that people are trying to be maniacal. It's just that people have wrong information and they spread it. And some of them are trying. Sometimes you have a maniacal route, and then from there on, that information gets spread from person to person to person. That's just what accepted. So that's why I always preface everything with Catholic Answers, or I try to find, like Joe suggested, Augustine's things that are actually written by Catholics about the discussion at hand, not people who are, and are well informed, something you can trust, rather than just random answers on Reddit or from people who might not know what they're saying. So yeah, that's my final word of suggestion and warning.
Yep. And there's a show you can find on YouTube called Called to Communion. Is the name of the show, with Dr. David Anders.
Yeah.
That guy knows his stuff very well. He's also a very good resource. And actually you could even call in if you have questions, and you could ask him questions on the thing.
Basu, you should be on.
Haley, I thought you said, I was reading your statement in the chat. A quirky fact I have is that a meaty human thigh has 30,000 calories. I thought you said, I have a meaty human thigh. I was like, you do, huh? Oh, good.
Okay, good for you. Might need to report that. I know what you mean.
Yep. And now we're talking about meaty human thighs, and Twashu's saying,
hungry.
I'm hungry.
Oof.
Like,
guys.
Wait. You've been playing way too much Scum. Eat more human.
Going with your Judas. Good call.
Go
Good
nicely
call,
with the 16 pair of human lungs in your freezer.
Calories are mine. Wow, guys. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Well,
hopefully Manglios, that answers some of your questions. I hope that's a little bit enlightening. I mean, we barely kind of touched the subject, but I mean, we did kind of go deeper than your question, but you had some follow-ups in there too. So,
and I completely agree with Joe. Unless you agree with the Nicene Creed, I don't think it's worth like just saying I'm a Catholic for the sake of anything. I would say become a Catholic when you know that you're on board, and you you know, want to be that. You want to live that lifestyle. You want to embrace that, and you fully. I think the minimally the Nicene Creed. There are You know, the Catholic Church allows many different beliefs on many different subjects. It doesn't proclaim you need to believe this, that, the other thing about everything. And while a lot of people see it as a rule lawyering kind of establishment where it's just a bunch of rules that you have to follow, I think that's a rather unbased look at it. So I think a lot of times people do get caught up in do's and don'ts of Catholicism, and they're worth asking about and trying to figure out why would the Catholic Church condemn this behavior, like understanding it, because that's a lot of times, why am I not allowed to do that? That doesn't make any sense. I don't see it that way. You could spin it that way, but it's not always that way. Yeah, it's fair. And it's worth arguing about to try to get to the bottom of, because as you get, hopefully, whether you arrive in agreement with the Catholic Church or not, you are at least asking a question to yourself to dig in deep, try to understand the root of whether something is truly evil, and what does it mean to be evil? What is holy, and why is it that way? So those are always worth digging into, especially if you don't agree with the church or other people. Trying to get to the root of matters requires deep investigation. You might find yourself changing your side if you're humble enough to do so, but you might also find it's like, you know what? It seems like things are in my favor here. I'm on the right side here, and that's fine too. But I think, I think we've covered the subject well, and I mean, there's so much more we could say, but I think hopefully we've said it.
Yeah, see, I believe that Joe is the root of all evil.
Wow. Poor Joe.
I mean, I've been 29 since the beginning of time.
Oh, and 29, everybody knows that's the age of
the whole time. I was talking to your nieces and nephews. I'm like, you think the dinosaurs became extinct because of a meteor? No, that was me.
Wow.
I made the dinosaurs extinct.
Joe batted his left eye and boom. Oops.
I need to meet your self-love stick. I'll kick your self-love stick's butt.
Wow. That's great.
On this topic, what'd y'all pick to fast for Lent? Normally, I would share that, but in this year, it's fairly personal.
Yeah, I think a lot of times
I like to.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I think a lot of times I prefer not to share. I share some of it and I don't share other parts. And I think that's a good practice, honestly. But anyone can do whatever they want. Usually every year I give up coffee. In fact, I've been giving up coffee before I enjoy coffee. Every year. And you're like, why did you give up something you didn't want to do? Because I do a really interesting Lenten practice on where on Saturday and Sunday, where I celebrate the seventh and day, I guess you call it. I break the fast, and the thing I'm not doing on the rest of the fast, and that is to kind of both celebrate God and His covenant with us, but also to sort of keep me interested in the thing, because it's easy to fast. Like, it's easier to fast something like a lot of people do something like I gave up chocolate for Lent, and so by the second week you're not even thinking of chocolate. By the third week you haven't thought about chocolate for a week. It's not even on your mind, and then you do your 40 days and it was only like 10 days that were actually hard, and then maybe the last couple of days you're thinking about it again because Lent's almost over and you're like, oh yeah, I get to have chocolate after this, and then you're thinking about it again for like the last. And I feel like it's not really about the struggle, Lent. Specifically, it's not how much can we struggle, but it is what brings us closer to God. And so if we completely forget that our fast is chocolate because we're not even thinking of it, then that doesn't give you many chances to go like, oh yeah, I'm fasting, that's right. And that is supposed to make me think of God and my wants and the things that I feel like, oh, I want this entertainment, I want this yummy chocolate, I want these things. Instead of doing that, I come to prayer with God or do something else, right? I feel like if we just completely forget the fast, then kind of not utilizing that as a tool like we should. So for me, I try to celebrate the that thing, whatever it is I give up, so that I'm reminded that I'm fasting, reminded of it, and like want it throughout the week, and then come to pray with God and think about God and those wants and etc. So as a tool. So usually every year I give up coffee. This is the first time in about a decade that I didn't give it up because I'm not sure.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, just can't do it this year. No, I mean, there's reasons. But anyways, so I didn't give it up this year. But I gave up playing games on my phone. I meant to say, I've given up playing games on my phone this year. As one of the things, because it's a little. I'm not a hard gamer on my phone, but every time I'm like waiting for something to compile on my computer or whatever, I just like go over and tap a few buttons and whatever, and I get distracted. And I'll like, okay, done with that, and then I'll work on my computer again or whatever. Or sometimes I wake up in the morning and I sit in bed for a while just playing on my phone, and then I get out of bed, right? And those are things that I'm just giving up, and I'm saying, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to my phone up. And I don't have to give social media up because I've never gotten into it. But yeah. Anyhow,
I was joking say I'm giving up going to church for Lent.
Wow, that'd be crazy. And
but you give up, but you don't do the thing you gave up on. You don't do that on Sundays, and so on Sundays you go to church anyway, right? So it's like,
whoa, that's brilliant. Joe. Oh, that's so smart.
I know, I'm genius.
You picked the one
and
thing.
Haley,
it's great.
Haley, I know where you're at. You're closer to me than you used to be, I think. I gotta come fight you now. Now that you've done this sword training, you're learning sword fighting. I'll kick your sword's butt too.
Wow. Sword will feel the pain. Your sword will feel the pain.
My
Lent
life hack. Okay. It's just like, okay. Bring it. Bet. Let's go.
Nyanse says, for me, I gave up watching certain types of videos and decided to read the Bible daily, among other things. Yeah. Nice. So last night we read the Bible before bed. We plan to do that again. Might not be before bed, but at some point in time. Yeah. It's a good practice.
Oh.
This video this video has...
Yeah, well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's okay.
It's 1:38. We spent like an hour on that. Thank you, Mianglios, for this great topic. Really appreciate it. And really appreciate you just being here. You're awesome. And we appreciate that you're willing to share this little part of your life with us. And I'm excited for you, whatever way it goes. I think it's great that you're interested in learning and have your own experience with it. And I wish you the very best. Every blessing.
Yes. All right, we're going to do Neon Size topic?
Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
Great.
How about we do that?
Okay, let's not then.
That'd be good to get us through. Oh.
Okay, we'll do it.
What's
fine.
great?
We'll do it. You're right. We were on the right track before I said that. We should do it.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Then I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to the screen where you can read along with me. It is a bit of a long one, but together we'll get through.
We're going to get through it.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
I think we'll be all right.
Ryan knows how.
I'll lead the way. This is titled Teamwork from Nyan. And it reads as follows. Tips on working together as a team on a large project. Tips on working together as a team on a large project. That is the topic. And I think that's a very good one. Because this is something that
It was very easy. It was very easy to come up with a summary.
Yeah. Was it copy paste?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Loved it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I love it. And the punctuation is exactly as.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
And the pronunciation.
Oh yeah, the pronunciation is exactly as it was.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you for this topic, Jan. And you and I have been getting better over time at working together. And we continue to improve every week, I think. But we started from a pretty low standard because I've spent the last many not really working with anyone but myself. And yeah, I didn't really have honestly, all that much experience with working with others, even though definitely worked with others in many different ways. But when you spend so many years working on projects, music, by yourself, when you work on other large projects, even larger than music, and you kind of just defer to your default, okay, I'm just going to get that done, get this done, and then I'm done. You know, you kind of leave the other person out, and it doesn't actually create good team effort, nor is it any bit effective. Or sorry, the best getting a best outcome, because each person has something to bring to the table that's useful. But anyhow, we've been learning this together, and I'm interested in what other people have. And again, kind of something all of us have at least probably some experience working with others. Probably had experiences working in school with each other, and that doesn't usually go that well. But maybe some people have other experiences that I didn't have, such real teamwork. I don't know. My experience in school was, hey guys, you're working on this project together, and we're like, okay, so who's doing all of it? Okay, I guess I'll do all of it. All right. Have you guys just do whatever, I'll do all of it. Like that was always the experience, pretty much. I mean, there were variations where like two people did the work together and then one person didn't do anything. That at least one person didn't do anything every time. So yeah. Anyhow, and the communication wasn't ever amazing, you know, it was just like terrible. Okay, anyways, with that said, I'm interested in seeing what Joe has to say. I'm interested in what I have to say about all of this, and see where it goes. Jan might have to specify or add more to this question right out. So, Joe, it's all yours. Go away.
I'm gonna take it away.
Yeah,
taking it away from you.
Yeah.
Haley says, I do lots of teamwork and collaboration in science. I think one of the best things is communication. If you don't communicate clearly, then it will cause frustrations, misunderstandings, said however you want, misunderstandings, and overall slow the project. You're so right. Communication is key, and also communication of your goal, like what it is you want to accomplish, whether it's, you know, in the long-term vision of the project itself, and then your goal for like that week, what you want to get done that week, right? And because those are just kind of like checkpoints along the way. It's like, you know, how do we keep ourselves on track? I have to highlight Twashu. I don't know if you're still here paying attention, but Twashu is like brilliant. Twashu is since we started the cabinet company, I haven't been able to spend as much time doing my job at BSS, which was, you know, all of every artist's releases. So like we've got a roster of I think 13 artists now at BSS, and we have people releasing stuff, and I was like, I just don't know how I'm gonna do all this kind of stuff. And Twashi's like, I'll help. And I'm like, I can't pay you regularly. I'm sorry. Like, you know, yes, Twashu is the song releaser sensei, August. Yes. And I'm so glad. Now I've known Twashi for a few years, and so I knew that she was going to be in a great position to do this. But I didn't really realize it until I saw the way Twashu interacted with some of these artists. And it's the perfect blend of because musicians are emotional. Musicians are quirky. Musicians are weird. Musicians are scatterbrained. Musicians are all of these things. And Twashu has this perfect light touch for the artists, the musicians and everything. It's like this great, skill of helping them feel encouraged, helping them feel at home, helping them feel like they can do it, like they're valued and everything, but also holding the line on, hey, get your stuff in, man. Right? It's like this perfect combination of that. And I watched Twashu interact with it was the last time I saw it was with Jono. And I was like, that's so perfect. You handle this so perfect. Because you have to know who it is you're working with. And, like, depending on the team, Neon, I'm not sure if you're alluding to anything specific, if you're alluding to the project that you and Ryan are working on right now and, trying to figure out how to work together. You guys know each other pretty well, I would say. And so you kind of get to understand each other's quirks, and you got to learn to dance with that. Like, everybody brings something a little bit different to the table. At BSS, we've got 7 people that own this company. And all of us have different strengths and weaknesses. And we fit together really well. Everybody's kind of got their own little department, their own little task that they're responsible for. And like, that's what we're there to do. And, like, and it's figuring out, okay, how do you got to learn um, how to interact with people, kind of what to expect when interacting with people. There are people I know that I'm going to have to call them first. I'm going to have to ask them. I'm going to have to let them know that this is the thing that we want to have done. And then I'm going to have to call them again at least 2 more times and ask about it before anything happens. And no, I'm not talking about you, Ryan.
I know. It's okay. If you were, I'd be like, that's okay if he thinks that, because that's probably true. But I knew you weren't talking about it. I have my issues.
So we all have our issues,
Yeah.
man. We all have our issues, and we don't see them. They're blind spots to us usually, right?
Yeah.
Until we learn to come to grips with them. And then we can learn how to improve, right? But part of it is learning that the human side of things, where it's like you understand you're dealing with people, and people have lives, and people have issues, and they get sick, and like they have, maybe they have crazy ex-spouses, and maybe they have, like, you just never know. And so, like, part of it is figuring that out and learning how to work with that, and trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way that we can actually move this thing forward, given this imperfect human being, and I'm also an imperfect human being, and we're going to try and do this thing together, and we have to learn to have some patience. We have to learn to have some communication, and we also have to learn how to have kind of a set priority of tasks to do, and then learn to trust each other. Because in my opinion, there's nothing more demotivating than micromanagement. That's one of the most demotivating things I can think of. It's like when I come across somebody who's a micromanager and wants to manage every last little tiny little aspect of everything, and maybe I do that, I don't know. But like, to me, it makes me want to not do anything at all. It just sucks all the wind out of my sails, and then I don't want to do anything, and I'm just like, whatever, screw you. I'm just going to do my own thing. But, different people have different motivators and different demotivators, right? So it's learning about each other and learning how to communicate and then learning how to have that set prioritization of tasks and then executing it and then holding each other accountable, but doing it in a way that doesn't demotivate, which is, again, why I respect Twashu so much. It's just that blend, man. Get your stuff to me. Let's get it in. Come on, let's get it in. Get it in. Come on. But also with that soft, light touch of, being able to work with an artist because artists are crazy. So anyway, that's my main take on it. It's like, and it's exactly like, I mean, Haley talked about communication, how important that was. And yes, and that's one of the pillars. But communication, understanding you're working with people and having those tasks laid out, and then understanding it's not going to go perfectly. You're going to have to reset things. It's okay. It's just natural. I have missed more goals than I've hit in my life, but I'm still moving forward. And yeah. So anyway, that's what I got, at least to start. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. Ryan and I, we had a great time working as a team on our first project that took longer than anybody thought possible.
That's right. Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah.
But it took some time learning each other and learning what we were good at. And it was so funny because remember, like, the people in my life were saying, "Oh, you're doing all the work." And then the people in Ryan's life were like, "Oh, you're doing all the work.
Yeah.
What's the other guy doing?" It's like,
Yeah.
you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
My
we're
gosh.
both working our butts off here.
Yeah, I was because and the thing is, like, other people aren't there, and so they see you working hard. They don't trust this other person. They don't know the other person, and so yeah, that definitely happened to us. People was like, you're doing everything, the other person's doing nothing. Are you accepting like 90% of the money because that otherwise it's not fair? And it's like, I don't even want to talk to you about this. You don't even know what you're talking about, first of all, because you don't watch them, and also, even if that were true, I'm not in the mentality of trying to figure out how much I'm owed. Like, that is not the point of this project. Oh, the point of the project isn't to try to make myself get ahead and the other person lose or anything. It's not trying to get the most out of it for myself. Right. So it's like, yeah, I remember that happening. Just being very, very very put off by other people. But anyways, luckily we don't have to face that too much in my relationship here with my wife and our project. But we just kind of just don't talk about it with other people a lot of times because, yeah, it's a really long project.
Talk about it.
Yeah, it's not like we hide it. It's just like it's our own little world. No one is. It doesn't apply to anybody else at the moment, for the most part. But anyways, Nyan did ask an important question, which is, how do you recognize your weaknesses faster? Haley said, I think taking time to reflect is important. And I think that's a good answer. And
journaling helped me.
Journaling, yeah. I think one of the things, that helped
No, it's not everybody's jive, but
yeah. My wife is good for journaling. She's good at that. I'm not very good at it, but she is. So, but yeah, I remember, we took, like she said above, we took like 16 months to figure out one of our core issues of working together because we weren't noticing each other, where each other was coming from on the project, and so got lost and so forth. And it does make, yeah, we do daily worksheets together, which is kind of fun. We started doing that, and I think that's been quite useful in terms of just kind of understanding what each other's day was on the project and what got done, but also more so like their thoughts with it and how often we were communicating. A lot of times I see like, I kind of knew everything that you were going to write because we literally that and talking to good, clear signs of communication. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard because this topic is pointed at, this is a topic to help us in a way. And so I'm part of that us, and it's like, man, what can I add? And I think things that I can add are only things that I can see that I could be doing better, such as, just things that we've already talked about, which is being more community, talking more about what I'm doing, coming to you about like, hey, this is my idea, and let's get on the same page before I move forward with it. Things like that. But that can be, it's just tricky at some points in time. But I just have to learn to, not kind of get swept up into doing something. Because in my experience, with writing music and so on, is like, start working on it, and then you come up with ideas, and then you just like execute them, and you see how they turn out. And if you don't like them, then you get rid of them. It's how I write music. And so, when you're trying to develop a whole video game, and each kind of thing takes sometimes just a day, and sometimes weeks, or sometimes a whole month to get a system in place, just to try it out and see if you like it. And then none of that is communicated, and then you're just like, well, I've done this thing. And it's like, I don't understand what that is. What is it? How did it relate to our game? I don't even see how that fit in. Because over the course of like the year, you've done that like 13 times, and all those systems are interworking, but I didn't know about any of it. So I don't see how that's any of that is important or not important. I can't even make a suggestion on it. I don't know anything about it. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Right? And so that was one of my shortcomings that I have to kind of, how do I say? I had to realize like that process leaves the other person out. Like, they weren't part of the project. And if the point of the project is to be together, doing the project together, and that's the really cool part, then that has to be the core of it and how we treat it with every step of the way. And I think that is hopefully the motive from now on, right? If the point of the project is to communicate and be together and build something together and hear each other out and share that experience and have that back and forth that produces really cool ideas. I'm sure everybody here has had a back and forth with somebody that's been really exciting, because you're developing new ideas that have never been talked about before, and they're really fun or really funny. That part is part of the funnest part, and that's like the whole point of it, that experience, and then making that come to life and then having other people enjoy it. I think that's so cool. And so to come forth with that mentality first before anything, I think is the way that I have to journey forward, to say, well, the whole point of this is that experience. So let's have that experience drive what comes. And I think that for me, that's probably the best lesson I've learned. This question.
But are you following my advice?
Do we punch each other every day?
When you first got married.
Yeah, you told us to punch each other. Always.
Yeah, that was my key piece of advice when you got married. Punch each other.
There may have been times where I have failed to do that. Yeah.
Times you failed.
If I'm going to be completely honest with you, Joe, there's definitely times where I have failed to do that. But there have also been no times where I have succeeded. So I have failed you miserably. Yeah, I'm not very good at it. Right. I'm still student, I'm still learning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Hero.
Hey, Hero. Welcome.
Nice to come right when talking about punching your spouse.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
You've just been making coffee every day. Well, that's not punching each other.
Thank you for the coffee.
I mean, you don't have to punch each other. You can hug each other really hard in the face with your fists.
Each other to death, yeah. Or with the fist. I guess I could close my hand into a fist and hug, yeah. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful advice. Joe, you had said something I think that is quite interesting, and it's something about you. I think maybe, and what you said is really important. To understand the person and their uniqueness and their
Yeah,
personality and kind of the way that they think about things is incredibly helpful, and it's something that in our discussions has helped us to come to work with each other a little bit better as well. And as we go forward and do that more, I think more fruit will come of that. Um, but you said like when you have someone who comes in and just micromanages everything, takes all of the soul out of everything, it makes you want to do nothing.
yes,
And I do have to agree with
yes.
that, um, completely. But I think part of that is you are a very strong-willed, and will matters a lot to you. And if someone comes in and removes the will part, like, this isn't something you are choosing to do, this is something I'm telling you to do. The whole life of that is going to be sucked out because
That's
you
true. That's probably
really,
part of my personality.
yeah, you really value, you are making the decision that it's your will and it's your thing to do and you're doing it.
Hmm.
But if someone
Hmm.
comes in and says, like anything that's about them, like, no, you're doing this for me, or no, you're doing this whether you would like it or not, or nah, that's not your choice, you would do it for me anyways. The sort of thing, like anything to do with will, that like saying it's not your decision and they're micromanaging you out of that, yeah, I can imagine that would just suck the life out of anything. And I think that sucks the life out of most people. But
Hmm.
there are people who would totally love to be micromanaged, who are just like, yeah, just tell me what to do. And I think that generally is the people who kind of stopped caring. And they're just like, tell me what to do so I can do it and just not think about at all and just get it done with.
Hmm.
And I can be that way. I can be that way. And it's not necessarily a negative attitude that I have. It's just that I'm not invested. It's not my thing. It's their thing. I'm doing it for them. So go ahead and tell me what to do. I'll just do
Sure.
it. And then when it's over,
Yeah.
it's over. But it's like, if there's no end in sight, then I will not enjoy that. I'll feel trapped and I'll be like, no, I'm quitting this job actually. Because I'm not going to deal with that all the time. But if it's like a job that I have and I've got my other thing on the side that I'm doing that's really fruitful and something I'm choosing to do and I'm willfully um, then I'm okay just doing this odd end job where I just listen to someone tell me what to do. But if there isn't that other thing in my life, I feel pretty drowned, maybe even depressed to some degree. So yeah, and that's a funny thing is I've always encountered people who are artists and said, I want you to be a part of the project. I want you to put your ideas forward about the different things that we're doing because I value what you have to bring to the table. And it also is important to me that you want to do it, not you're being demanded this for a paycheck. I want you to be wanting to do it, invested in it, and creating really great ideas out of it. And I've had awful results with that. Because, yeah, and you wouldn't think I would, but I've had some good results, and I think that is the ideal situation for most people. And then it's the thing that it's like, this person is interested in seeing what I have to bring to the table. It makes them want to be a part of it. And that makes sense. But then when it comes to time to actually get work done, it becomes very difficult. Because even if you share every aspect of the story with them and they know everything and they're invested in it, I find that a lot of artists struggle to actually start doing it or to continue doing it once they've started. Sometimes it's because of a lack of direction and a lack of communication on my part. And sometimes it's just they've got other things in life going on, and to them it still just doesn't matter enough to make it happen. And yet they seem to go to work every day. They're being micromanaged. They don't get a choice. It's like you have this thing where I'm giving you a choice to do something and you get money for it. Or you have this other thing where you don't get to pick anything and you get money for it. And why are you choosing that other thing? That doesn't make any sense to me. It literally makes no sense to me. But the human mind is an interesting thing. And it seems to me that people get the job done when they are stressed to get it done. People get the job done when they've got people who they have to be held accountable for, and if they're not held accountable, they get fired. People get the job done.
Uh-huh.
But if you give them a loose rein and you're just like, hey, like, you can do it today, you can do it next month, you can do it whenever you want, and just do it on your own schedule, and then people don't do it at all. It's like, because there's no threat there. There's no fire under their butt, which is weird, very weird to me, because I'm such a different personality, and I have to recognize that. It's like, I'm not the person that can put fire under people's butts. So if you're that person, you're gonna have to do that to yourself. Can I learn how to put fire under people's butts? Yeah, that's something I could learn. That's something I get better at. But I am not the kind of person that fire under my butt means I get something done. A lot of times, fire under my butt means, nah, that fire is arbitrary. You made it up, and so it's dismissed. And I'm gonna do it when I said I was gonna do it. And that's that. You don't get to put a fire under my butt, because only I can do that to me. That's the kind of person I am.
Well, it's like, okay, then get a fire under your butt, or I'm gonna fire your butt.
Yeah, that's right. If they do that, then I'm just like, I'm a good asset here, but you can do whatever you want. This is your business, and I'm not gonna get in your way. I've got other things I can do. Of course, I don't really say that to their face. I'm I'm a little bit more eloquent and kind in the way that I react or respond to people. And it's not that I have these oppositions of being fake or whatever. It's just being frank with you. The way that I know that I receive it is I just take that fire and I just put it out. That's what I do with fires.
Put it out with my butt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you put a fire under my butt. Well, I sat on it. Oh, and it went out. Yeah, I knew that would happen.
It went out.
Yeah. So my basic response, it's not even like that, like angst. It's not even angst at all. It's not like, no, I get to pick what I get to do. It's not even that at all. It's just literally someone puts a fire under my butt and I just put it out and I'm just gone. And I don't even generally bat an eye. I'm just like, sorry, that fire didn't work. Pretty much almost no fires work under that butt, but just takes the heat and puts it out. I can't do anything about that, man. My brain has been designed to put fires out. And if you put a fire under my butt, it's going to put the fire out. It's not going to solve the thing that you wanted it to do. So negative reinforcement just does not, it just falls flat on me. Fire under the butt to get me moving, that falls flat on me because I put fires out. I don't use them to fool me forward. Like, for me, encouragement goes a long way. Being in, like, me, generally, I'm going to do something. If I've got something on my mind, I'm going to do it. Generally speaking, I work hard at something. And I just go for it. But if for some reason I need to do something, encouragement really goes a lot farther than anything. Like, hey, and that little bit of trust to know that, like, okay, yeah, he'll get the job done. For me, that respect goes a lot farther than this idea of, like, you don't think I'm going to get it done and you have to put a fire under my butt because you're worried I'm not going to get it done in time or whatever, right? Because if you feel like you have to put a fire under my butt, I get this feeling of, like, they don't trust I'm going to do it. And that means our relationship isn't that tight because they don't trust me. So, anyways, that's kind of my experience with teamwork. And it isn't a very big one, but I know that encouragement goes a long way. And so I try to be an encourager, but that's something I can get better at. And I think my wife responds well to encouragement as well. But I think I fail on that.
Most people do.
Yeah,
most people respond good to encouragement, but too much of it can kind of, like, if you lavish it on too much, it can kind of demotivate as well.
Yeah, that's true, and it can what do you call it? It can,
especially if it feels fake.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. That you could have a solution and you're adding too much water to it, right? And you're just diluting it. That can be how encouragement can be. Too much encouragement can dilute the inspiration. or the desire to do something.
Who- Who's playing the heart game with me right now? Because
Go on to
like we're
choose.
putting all these
Someone's putting
hearts
hearts
in
in
the
this.
chat.
Thank you for all those hearts, guys.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna join into this.
Nice. Well, while
So now we're
you're
playing the heart game.
hearting it up, I've said all I can really say here. I've got all of
Yes.
that on the table now, and I'm interested in what you have to say, what you wanted to add on.
I don't know. That's, I mean,
Okay, that's the best we
you
got for
kind
you.
of said it all, you know, like, I mean, s- you know, like on something big like that, it's a huge project. It's going to take years.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I expect
I know
growth along the way.
it's tough when you're not really a goal setter, but I would try and develop a habit of at least trying to have some kind of a goal for a week or for a month or for whatever, you know, I'm going to try and do this or even for the day. Just because it's easy to get lost when you're like, "Oh, this is going to take us 2 to 5 years."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it's just this whirlwind of whatever, and then, you know, or like, you know, the house that your brother and I are working on right now. I mean, that's a huge project, and it's like, you know, like we got to have stuff we want to get done that day, and so it's like it's almost like having some kind of a goal. Doesn't have to be you don't even have to call it a goal, but have something you want to get done. And you know, because otherwise it's so easy to just kind of get wrapped up and be like, well, this is going to take forever anyway. So what I do today isn't going to matter that much anyway. But the more that compounds, the longer and longer and longer it just drags out. And so it's like, okay, let's be getting some stuff done here, you know. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to kind of just figure out, okay, where do I want to be at the end of the week?
Mm-hmm.
And then you set that goal and you're like, okay, let's go for it. And it doesn't even matter if you hit it or not. The point is going after it and moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get it done, you don't get it done, but you know, you reset for the next week or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. On a big project like that, having something you want to get accomplished that week and then being accountable, not being accountable in the sense of, oh, you didn't get it done, blah, 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 blah. And so then you get mad and, you know, fight with each other. Unless, well, if it leads to punching each other, which is what you're supposed to be doing anyway, then fine. But,
Mm.
um,
Thanks for that
yeah.
approval.
um, no, other than that, I think I can't think of much else. You
Mm.
know each other, you know how each other operate, and keep learning that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Haley talked about reflecting to figure out your weak points. That's
Yeah.
a really good thing to do as well. And some of those are going to be not very obvious until you go for a while and you
Yeah.
figure out, oh, you know what? I got kind of I kind of have this trait here
Yeah.
that,
It's like, oh, that's been happening the whole
you
time.
know,
Yeah. I
I
didn't even
could I
realize it.
could I could work that out a little bit. And but then it's hard to work these things out sometimes. Sometimes these things take a great deal of personal reflection and change that we're maybe not ready to do yet. And so then, you know, so it takes some personal growth in there. But the whole way along the line, the thing about that, you're going to grow as you do it. And as you get more and more accomplished, it's going to feel good. And but if you just say, okay, we're going to have this done in 2 years, you miss out on a whole lot of motivation and achievement, the feeling of achievement, if you go 2 years with none of that and you're just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, well, we're just going to keep moving forward every day. But like when you have something that you can try for and shoot for, I think it can generate a lot more energy to get stuff done. And
Yeah.
that's really it. Um
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Yeah. And having weekly discussions about where we're at and figuring out how to get to the next step. setting those goals, I think that is a really smart thing on that same, even if we're operating two different things at a time, like I might be working on one thing, she's working on a completely different part of a system, but I think having those and communicating them, and yeah, also, just weekly or even we've been doing kind of daily communication, incredibly important. But yeah, I mean, we kind of entered into it in a way, showing like this is an opportunity for us to learn about each other, for us to grow in community work, opportunity for us to experience something where we're collaborating towards the same goal and working together so that we can learn about those things and become better, because it's through that you kind of learn your own weakness and learn about the other person. Yeah, I think we're doing good, even if it took us a really long time to get where we're at now. We're doing the thing. It's good.
Well, keep doing the thing.
Yeah, but we'll have to. The thing is, now that we've learned things, we have to do those things that we learned, and that's important. And that can be difficult.
And learn forgiveness.
Luckily,
you guys
that's not
already are
something we have
probably
to,
pretty good at that.
Yeah, luckily that's not something we have to learn. We're pretty good there. We don't hold grudges or care about the misfortunes or misgivings. Pass it off. Keep on trudging forward.
Yeah. Yes.
We're talking about sword fighting and punching and kicking. Good.
Yeah, let's go. And now pizza.
Pizza.
Yes.
Wow. I kind of want some pizza or anything.
It makes me hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is 2:16. I do have a.
It's actually 10:16.
Sorry, it's 2:16 in Australia, and I have something that. Well, we have something we have to go to. Yeah, in a town over-ish. So.
Okay.
We should probably call here.
Like now.
Yeah.
Punch each other on the way.
Okay. No promises, but it will be considered.
Oh, it's actually 4:17.
Oh, wow. Man, we're so bad at telling time, guys. I thought it was 2. Joe thought it was 10, and it was 4. Goodness.
Oh, we're so wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should be exciting whenever you have a meeting scheduled. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Dreading a meeting is a really bad attitude to have about it. If we can be excited, I think, even if we don't feel excited, bring it to the table, and I think that way more flourishing and fruitful results. Thank you, Wiggs. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Neonsci, for this topic. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for having such a wonderful discussion with us. Thank you, Myanglios, for the other topic. That was really great. And for everybody else for sticking with us through it, even if you are not a religious person.
And the heart game. Thanks for the heart game.
Yeah, thanks for the hearts.
Right now.
Thank you for the heart game. And we hope you have an incredible rest of your week. Until next time.
Thinking ADHD people over here, the hearts.
We wish you a wonderful lifetime. And we love you. And bye-bye.
Yes. Love you guys.
Bye now.
Bye.